So you're talking to us for social media to get through to young people. One person that hundreds of thousands of young people support is Tommy Robinson. Have you got a response to his sentence today?
Well, he pleaded guilty, so that means that he felt that he had done something wrong. And once you plead guilty, then the court process takes over. I don't think that many young people support Tommy Robinson. I'm sure that there are some who do. But I think it's very important that young people understand that the justice system in this country is fair. And where people believe that it isn't, they should contact their local representatives, their members of parliament, so that we can do what we can to make it better.
Lots of people do support Tommy Robinson. Do you think his activism is good for the UK?
I'm sure lots of people support all sorts of people. We should look at what it is we're trying to achieve in society. And I believe that we want a society where there is a lot of social cohesion. It doesn't mean that there are, that there's perfection or that we are living in a utopia. But all that I try and do as a politician is bring people together. You look at some of the work I did as a minister on Inclusive Britain, making sure that people, whatever their ancestry and heritage, believe that they have a place in this country and love it rather than feel embarrassed about their history or don't have pride in their country. We want people to be patriotic and have pride.
In your campaign, you want to talk about principles more than policies. In principle, do you think university tuition fees are too expensive? I
think that if I compare with what I had at university, they are. I paid £1,000 a year at university, and I had another £3,000 in loans for accommodation and so on. And it took me about 10, 12 years to pay it all off. And I remember feeling a burden lifting. And I think that a lot of young people just feel that they are overburdened, and I want to lighten the burden for young people.
Do you think it should be easier for people to attend university, or do you think that it should be harder?
I think that we should look at what we want people to do. It should be easier to get a job. It should be easier to be productive and make a lot of money if you want to. It should be easier for you to buy your own home. Now, what we can do to make that work for people is critical. But going to university is not the only way to be able to do those things. What I don't want is a society where people feel they have to go to university when they don't want to, or come out with so much debt that going to university has held them back. Going to university should push you forward, not hold you back.
And you mentioned housing, getting on the housing ladder there. Have you any ideas what could be done to make it easier for young people to get on the housing ladder?
Yes, we need more affordable homes. And there are three things I think we need to do that. The first is to deal with the asset bubble that came up 10, 15 years ago, maybe even a bit longer. And that means that lots of people, instead of investing in stocks and shares and bonds, they just put all their money in housing, they buy up all the housing, and that makes the homes more expensive because there's less to go around. So let's deal with the asset bubble. Let's deal with demand. We have a lot of immigration in our country. It is too high. It's not about what people look like. It's about how much can we sustain. So we need to bring that down. And we also need to build more homes.
And another issue massively important to young people is climate change. And you've been critical of net zero in the past. How much of a priority do you think protecting the planet should be for the government?
I think protecting the planet is a very high priority. Protecting our environment is a critical priority. We are conservatives. We want to conserve the environment. The net zero plan, I don't think, is working. And there's no point just being wedded to a plan that isn't working and that is going to cost us a lot of money, can even bankrupt us. So we have to look at whether the plan works. And that's what my leadership position is about. I want us to go away and think about a proper plan, not just make an announcement, not just make a promise, and then work it out as you go along. That's not good for any of our futures. And I want a brighter future for all of us and a better environment too.
And unlike your opponent, you voted leave in the EU referendum. Keir Starmer's trying to bring us closer to Europe at the moment. What do you think about the idea of a youth mobility scheme?
I think youth mobility schemes are a good thing, but at the moment they are an EU competency. And when I was Trade Secretary, the EU said it didn't want to discuss that. But we need to make sure that a youth mobility scheme works on a country-by-country basis. So when I was Trade Secretary, I was discussing this with Switzerland, for example. So making sure that we have control over our borders is absolutely important. Bringing immigration down is critical. But where we have an exchange, where equal numbers are going back and forth, like we have with Australia, like we have with Canada and New Zealand, I think that's a great thing.
You've got a little bit of a reputation as being a little bit prickly. First of all, do you think that's fair? And second of all, do you think that's a good quality for a leader?
Well, do I seem prickly on this interview?
You don't seem prickly with me, but I have seen you be in the past. Sometimes you question, you ask a journalist a question rather than give them an answer, and to lots of people it seems like you're not happy with the question.
I think a lot of journalists don't like being asked questions, but what I am about is honesty and integrity. I don't like lies. I don't like misinformation. So if I feel that there are inaccurate things or untrue things, I will often push back. But I think that's what you want. You want somebody who's going to be brave, who's going to be fighting for the truth. That's not being prickly. That's fighting for what's right.
And you've spoken to the media a lot less than Robert Jenrick this campaign. Why is that?
Because I've been running a grassroots campaign. We will see which one works. But I think that you should go to the media when you have something to say, not just because the media needs content. Politicians are not content providers. We are the people who are trying to make your lives better. And I have been doing another job, which my opponent doesn't have. I'm the shadow housing secretary, so trying to help the government deliver more houses. I'm doing a lot more outside the leadership contest. And that means that I don't necessarily have as much time for media because I've got a job to do that will help deliver for a lot of young people.
It seems the strategy has been working. You're miles ahead in the polls from what I've seen. Are you feeling confident about the weekend?
Well, I am fighting for every vote, fighting for every vote. I remember in 2017, the Conservatives were miles ahead in the polls and we lost our majority. So I do not look at polls, I don't look at bookies, anything can happen. I think it's neck and neck. Some people will want to go with Rob's approach, some people want to go my approach. We will find out this coming Saturday.
That's great, thank you very much.
Thank you.